Are Orc Boar Boyz any good in patch 6.0.3? I feel this is an important question for simple reasons. At some point, you're going to be able to get more of them, so you want to know if you should bother with Boar Boyz or go in some other direction. It depends on what you expect to fight to some extent. So let's go into advantages, disadvantages, and just how much they can gore for fun and profit. Recruit for 650 gold and 163 upkeep, a different grade of cost than your line infantry. On Ultra scale, this gets you 60 entities with 6,840 health between them. Armor is 65 with cavalry shields blocking 30% of small arms missile fire from the front. That's decent armor and okay shields. Leadership 60 is Orc standard. Speed 70 and charge speed 104 means a large gap between normal traveling speed and what you get charging into combat. Now, people have argued that these can do the same job as Wolf Riders. It's a huge gap of speed between the two. In a lot of cases, you can suffice without the extra speed, but I just want you to remember that it's not a small difference. Now, in older game versions, Boar Boyz were even slower than this, and that hurt. But like I said about Rights Guard, and I spoke truly, in both cases, they are much better now. Melee attack starts at 22, and the attack interval of 4.6 is like nasty skulkers. It's slower than normal infantry and not in a good way. There is no splash damage as expected for a full 60 entity unit. Melee defense starts at 24. Yes, that's actually a little higher than the melee attack, and interestingly, it's only 1 point below Orc Boyz' standard version. Weapon strength is only 30, split between base 10 and armor piercing 20. So yes, they actually do twice as much armor piercing as base damage. The total amount isn't huge, it's actually markedly less than Orc Boyz, but that's a lot more armor piercing. Charge bonus of 48 is exactly equal to that of bog standard Empire Knights and masses 1200. So what we've just learned is that even though this is not a lance unit, it is not as slow in melee as a lance unit typically is, and it has decent melee defense for its race. The Boar Boyz function best if you use them as if they are shock cavalry. They are not that formally, but their charge bonus is high enough that you should internalize the need to use them that way as much as orcishly possible. The only trait is Hide and Forest. As I've been doing lately, there's not much point skipping over the Savage Orc variant. Recruited for 700 gold and 188 upkeep, this version has 35 armor. Yes, it has some armor, but forgoes the shield, and still has 25% physical resistance. Melee attack 26 is for better, melee defense of 20 is for worse. Weapon strength is the same. Charge bonus 56 is a better, and that is before Frenzy applies. So that's melee attack 36 in effect, plus 10% to both weapon strength and charge bonus, as long as the unit isn't super low leadership and probably riding for the Badland Hills. In the redline skills, Riders at 3 pips adds plus 12% speed and plus 12 flat charge bonus, which I expected, but yeah, that gets us up to charge bonus 60, like I remember from redline spec to Empire Knights back in the day. At rank 7, Ard Lads would add plus 12 armor, plus 5 melee defense, and 8% ward save, all extremely welcome. In the tech tree, 2 techs address boars specifically. Also, these apply to Orc Boar chariots as well. I just forgot in my video. Thank you for pointing it out. Pointy Tusks adds plus 5 flat charge bonus and plus 4 armor piercing melee attack. In this case, that means armor piercing 20 becomes armor piercing 24, a 20% increase to AP damage. That is significant, and more to the Pointy Tusk, it is consistent. The second is Fata Pigs, offering 5% physical resistance and plus 15% unit mass. We'll take what we can get for more porcine power. For this unit, scrap upgrades are pretty simple. No tech is required for blinkers, a Huey concept that makes mounts go in the direction you actually want them to go. Yes, I wrote the script like that. For 30 scrap base, that provides plus 30 flat charge bonus. That's bonkers loco insane. So potentially, charge bonus 95 for some orcs on some freaking hogs. Spoils of War once again unlocks Beta Blades for a simple plus 15% weapon strength boost, but remember, in this case, 66% of the starting weapon strength ignores armor. Gorbad can grant Big Banner Boys, and I'll once again bring that up, and considering this unit can get around better than others, I'd say it has a decent chance of making real use of that. Now, the Savage variant can gain access to both normal upgrades, but can also get the Idol of Gork if under the Bloody Hands faction, so it can take magic attack dampening on the road, plus Ivory Arm Guards are available for a little more defense at the cost of precious scrap, no tech required. So how do you use Orc Boar Boyz? As I pointed out, even before the scrap upgrades, which represents CA acknowledging the obvious, this is a shock cavalry unit, hiding as a general cavalry brawler. It's one of those units that looks like trash except for the fact the faction has raw boosts for an instant plus 24 melee attack buff. But setting that aside, it's a scary unit for a lot of opposition if you can maneuver into a bunch of charges. At the very least, it's sturdy enough to last against a bit of a pounding. That's not its main job, and you'd much rather use it as a hammer against your sturdy line anvils. But in the end, it's still a cavalry unit that's a supporting arm of battle. It's there to smash things. And if it's not the toughest of its kind, too bad so sad. Its job is to break stuff. Odds are it'll do that job for you, and is fast enough that when it must break and flee, it might survive. As a first game race unit, it also has inherent survivability against missile attack, or rather, at least it'll try and survive when charging a missile line, but obviously going straight into the buzzsaw is not ideal. You want to angle your charges so that you're only facing some of the opposition at one time, dividing and conquering. After that, it gets easier. The fact you can leave them in combat a little bit is a luxury, but really, don't get cocky with these stats. It's not healthy for the Boar Boyz. Besides, melee attack 22 looks an awful lot better when you add a fat 48 to it to get to 70. That's the math of cavalry. Take care, and remember, the unit may seem boring, but it's always life in the fast lane.